I want to start off today with a simple magic trick. Let's say we have these 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we all start at the number 1. I want all you guys to follow the steps as I say it. First, make 4 moves. You can either go to the left or to the right, but you can't jump between numbers, like go from 1 to 3, and you also can't go from 1 to 5 and 5 to 1. Also, if you're at the edge, like at number 5, you bounce back. So you go 4, 5, and you bounce back and come back to 4. Now, let's make 3 more moves. I think I am deciding how many moves to make, and you might think that this is part of the trick. So, you can decide however many moves that you want to make, but be realistic. Don't make like 100 moves. Is everyone at a number? Now, let's make that same amount of move one more time. You can either go to the left, to the right, it's up to you. Now, if you're a guy, I want you to make 2 moves to the right. If you're a girl, I want you to stay at the number that you're at. And lastly, I want every single one of you to make 2 moves to the right. What number did you get? Let me guess. 4. How did I know this? Was it a guess? No. Did I somehow guide every single one of you to the same number? Yes. This is a simple magic trick, yet it is a special magic trick because it is based off of math. I used some mathematical concept to lead all of you guys to the same number. This is one example of how math plays a role in our life, yet this is just a start. Math is all around us in our world today. I love math. I love talking about math. It excites me. I feel like as if a blanket of happiness has been thrown over me when I talk about math. That is why when I found out how much math exists in our surroundings, I wanted to tell others about it. Yet, I wanted to be special and different. I wanted to talk about a concept that isn't really talked about. Irrational numbers. Irrational numbers is a type of number that cannot be written as a fraction of 2 integers, or also known as it has infinite number of digits. To make everything clear, numbers like 1, 10 over 3, 1,000, 2.543 are called rational numbers. They can be written as a fraction, and they have a fixed number of digits. On the other hand, numbers like root 2, pi, 2.73915, and it keeps on going on, are irrational numbers. Some examples of irrational numbers can be this. How does this make you feel? How does this make you think? Do you think you have seen them before? Or do you think you use them in your daily life? Not really, right? Let's look at some broader examples. What about these? Who would have known that this nature and logos in our daily life were made out of irrational numbers? I didn't know this, and when I found out, it fascinated me. That is why, for my research project, I decided to find out how much of irrational numbers existed in our surroundings and the benefits we can gain from understanding these numbers. The most commonly known irrational number is pi, or 3.14159, and it keeps on going on. Pi is a number found when you divide the circumference of a circle by its diameter. Anything that is a circle has pi, and pi exists in anything that is circular. So, like pi exists in pi. But it also exists in car wheels, ornaments, round books, soccer balls, and cups, or any other things that are circular. Now, this is the most common irrational numbers, and now let's get into the interesting ones, the one that I really want to introduce to you guys. The first is the Euler's number, or also known as E. Specifically, 2.718281, and it keeps on going on. If you look at the graph, you see the line increasing suddenly with the slope getting steeper and steeper. And this number seems unrealistic to exist in our daily life. Yet one famous example is in bank systems, or specifically interest rates. Let's say we have a card with $1, and a bank system offers an annual interest rate of 100%. Then after a year, you will have $2. If the bank changes up its system and decides to provide 50% interest rate 2 times a year, you will have $2.25 by the end of the year. If the bank changes its system to 25% 4 times a year, then we will have $2.44 after a year. If the bank keeps on compounding to smaller and smaller percentage, to days, to hours, to minutes, to seconds, nanoseconds, we get E dollars. With the credit card with $1, the maximum amount of money that we can gain from interest rates is E dollars, or $2.718. Like, who would have known that? Another example is in lottery. We sometimes see on the television of someone won $1 billion in the lottery, someone won $1 million in the lottery. And you can wonder, what are the chances of winning a lottery? Let's say if there was 1 million possible chances in the lottery, then the person won with a 1 in a million chance. Yet, let's look at the same number in a different way. 1 in a million chance is the same thing as if the person plays the lottery every 1 million times, it is the same thing as 1 in an E chance of losing every single time, which is 36.8%. 36.8%. And this math is a little complicated, but to go over it right now. But trust me, it is 36.8%. In other words, you have a probability of 63.2% of winning the lottery every single time. Now, that's not a bad chance, right? But you got to remember, there are 1 million possible chances in the lottery. And once you realize this, your probability of winning the lottery is way below 1%. Another irrational numbers in our world is the golden ratio. The theory is this: if we have a rectangle with length A and width B, A divided by B equals A plus B over A, with a specific number of 1.618033. This impossible ratio does exist in our surroundings. If you look into architects, you can see in the Parthenon, the pediments, the height of the pillars, the base and height of the Parthenon makes up the proportion of the golden ratio. In the pyramid and the Great Sphinx, you can see the face of the Great Sphinx, the height of the Great Sphinx, and the proportion of the Great Sphinx to the pyramid equaling the golden ratio. If you look at the pyramid itself, the hypotenuse divided by the base of from the center to the edge is the golden ratio. If you look into famous artworks like the Mona Lisa, you can see the proportion of the eye, the nose, the face, and the body equaling the golden ratio. Also, in the Last Supper, you can see the tables, the windows, the walls, the disciples, and even where the location of Jesus equaling the golden ratio. The effect does not stop there. It even influences how we think today. If you ask a young adult what is one of their biggest concerns today, one of the first answers you could get is not being satisfied of how they look, not being pretty enough, not being handsome enough. But who created these beauty standards in our society? If you look, and I decide to find out what a professional person views the beauty standard. I decide to find out what a plastic surgeon considers the perfect face, or this. In the perfect face, you can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the length and height of the face are all proportionate to the golden ratio. In our world today, golden ratio exists everywhere. And with this understanding, you could ask, did the artist who painted the famous artwork know about the golden ratio before they painted it, and then somehow designed their artwork that the golden ratio fit? Or did the artist first create their art piece, and then the golden ratio somehow magically fit into their art piece? And is that why their artwork is so widely known? The answer is up to you to decide. But one thing is for sure, golden ratio is everywhere in our surroundings. You could ask, what is the benefits of understanding the irrational number? What effect does it have in our society? Well, I want to ask you guys, have you ever sat out on your balcony, looking out into the oceans, the mountains, and you felt calm? You felt soothing. One of the reasons of the calmness that you felt could be defined by the irrational numbers, or specifically, fractals. Fractals is a repeated pattern that keeps on reoccurring as we continue to zoom in on a point. And fractals has psychological benefits. According to a study by the Harvard Medical School, the electric signal profiles in our nervous systems follows fractals. And this is why the scientists hypothesize that we feel calm when we look into fractal images or paintings. The scientist says that our mind has been built a natural inborn propensity to recognize and resonate with fractals. This might be why when we look into fractal images or paintings, we recover from stress 60% better due to its soothing and calming effect. We can see irrational numbers in nature and even in our nervous systems, bringing psychological benefits. The benefits does not stop there. Irrational numbers also brings new innovations. We can see fractal images being placed into doctors' offices to calm the patients. We can see fractal painting being used as a new treatment for stress. We can see a new MRI scanner being developed with better function than ever before with the foundation of the golden ratio. And we can even see an increase in employment. In the solar panel plant station, there are more jobs being offered with the development of a new solar panel with a function that has been better than ever before. The effect of irrational number are phenomenal. And once I realized this, I wanted to share this information to others. I want to let the world know. That is why I decided to create a website. I had a homepage with eye-catching pictures to make sure the user doesn't leave as soon as they enter my website, which is something I sometimes do. I also had a different types page where I also had a history page where I talk about the history of how irrational numbers were invented, who invented these numbers, and how they came to be. I also had a different types page where I talk about the different types of irrational numbers in our world and the variety of places that we can find them. Lastly, I had a scavenger hunt page where I wanted to be more interactive. I listed some objects with irrational numbers that exist in our surroundings. Irrational numbers are all around us, and there are great benefits understanding these numbers. With the basic of the knowledge of irrational numbers, we can impact the world by finding a way to bring calmness, developing new innovations, improving our society, and even, maybe, winning a lottery. Do you guys remember the magic trick that I started with? Well, this is how it works. We all started with the number 1, and we added 7 moves, the number of moves that I told you to make. 1 plus 7 moves, and we arrive at an even number. The even number plus 2 times the number of your choice, we will land on an even number. And an even number plus 2 or 0, depending on your gender, we will land on an even number. And the only even numbers in the range of 1 to 5 are 2 and 4. Adding 2 to 2 equals 4, and adding 2 to 4 equals 4, because you bounce back. How is this beneficial? Well, you can be seen as a smart, amazing, mind-reading friend, child, or parent. Thank you.